The mornings are getting darker and the weather's getting cooler, and I'm finally starting to reap the rewards of my first full year living in the countryside. I just came down to feed the chickens and check they're okay after their first night in the coop. And I've got an egg, my very first egg on my first morning of having hens. And there would have been 2 eggs. One was even in the nesting box, but sadly it got squashed. But still, an egg. I did not expect that, and I'm very excited about it. I've left it a bit late for the brambles this year, but I'm hoping I can get enough to make some jam, or if not, a crumble. They're a bit small and hard because we haven't had much rain, but there's a few. I've spent more time climbing out of ditches this year than I ever thought possible. You'd have thought I'd be better at it by now. It took me an hour and a half and I'm purple and covered in scratches, but I managed to get 1200 grams of blackberries, which should be enough for some blackberry and raspberry jam, and maybe a couple of crumbles. A morning well spent, I think. It's a good thing I didn't get chickens a year ago, because otherwise my video sharing everything I achieved in my first year at the cottage would just be footage of me watching hens. I hope the novelty of this never wears off. I think I might have harvested enough garlic to get me through until next summer. I'm not going to be self-sufficient in much, but I might be self-sufficient in garlic. I'm going to save the biggest bulbs and replant them in the winter for next year's garlic crop. Between the 2 of them, my squash plants grew 3 Crown Prince squashes, and one of them looks a little bit ropey, so I'm probably going to need to do something with it rather than store it. But I'm hoping the other 2 will last into the winter. I might have picked out all the bugs I found while I was harvesting potatoes to give to the chickens as little snacks. I don't know who I've become. We got more chicken snacks. Now that summer's coming to an end, I'm trying to tackle the never-ending job of tidying up the garden, which is being made easier by Jackery, who are advertising with me this week. Jackery are market leaders in portable power stations, and their Explorer 3000 V2 has been making my life a lot easier over the last few months. It's their first 3 kilowatt hour power station, and it's designed for off-grid living and reliable home backup. I don't have a huge amount of land here, but there's enough that running an extension lead from the house just isn't possible. The Jackery 3000 V2 is 47% smaller and 43% lighter than industry standard, and I've been using it in all the hard to reach areas of the garden. With a maximum output of 3,600 watts, it had no problem handling all of the corded power tools I needed to put the finishing touches on the chicken coop last week. From drilling in last minute extra ventilation with my dad's old power drill, to cleaning up the mess afterwards. A transformer in a neighbouring field was struck by lightning the other day, and luckily all it did was trip my fuse box, but several of my neighbours lost power, and it's good to know that if something happens, at least I'll be able to boil the kettle, which is something I've been doing quite a lot of lately, because I still don't have hot water. With a long-lasting LFP battery and wall and solar charging options, the Explorer 3000 V2 will power 10 years of adventures. Or emergencies. Use code JUDE5555 for 5% off at my link below. I haven't had a boiled egg since I was a kid, and these are perfect. I feel like this is the best way to celebrate having eggs from my own hens. My chilies didn't do quite as well as I was hoping for this year. I think they got a bit squashed by the courgettes that I planted with them in the hinge tube house. Next year I'm going to give them a bed to themselves. But I did get quite a few cayenne peppers and 3 jalapeno peppers, so better than nothing. There's a few green chilies that I'm going to leave on the plants to ripen, and I need to work out what I'm going to plant in this bed to overwinter. I'm thinking maybe some chard, but I'm not sure yet. This is not what they look like on Pinterest. In my defense, hard-necked garlic is a lot harder to braid than soft-necked garlic. I'm probably going to cut it down and store it in a crate instead. The This has happened a lot quicker than I expected it to, but I already have too many eggs. My hens only arrived on Sunday, but due to having visitors and poor planning, I have a dozen eggs from the supermarket, as well as the 10 eggs that the chickens have laid since they arrived. So I probably need to do something about it. And considering I spent 3 months building a chicken coop, I don't really like eggs that much. I'm hoping that will change, but I eat about an egg a week unless I'm baking, and an egg a week is probably pushing it, so I need to come up with some ideas on how to use them. I'm going to make some blackberry curd today to put in the freezer and use at a later date, which will apparently use 3 eggs, and I'm going to come up with some other things to bake as well. If you've got any recommendations for recipes that use a lot of eggs, I would love to hear them. I've got 2 jars of blackberry curd and a tray of cubes in the freezer to use at a later date. It's not shelf stable, so it needs to stay in the fridge. I'm probably going to give a jar away as a gift, and I'll eat the rest with yogurt or pancakes or something over the next couple of weeks. It used up 6 eggs and some of the blackberries from the freezer, and I'm going to need that freezer space for all of the baking I'm planning on doing with the rest of the eggs. It's pretty windy here today, so hopefully you can hear me above the ambient leaf rustling. The chicken run is pretty sheltered because it's tucked into a corner with walls on 2 sides. So the hens are pretty happy in here. We had a bit of a storm last night and they were absolutely fine. They seem to be settling in pretty well as far as I can tell. They're all laying eggs, which I think is a good sign, and they're working out their pecking order, which I am trying not to get involved with. They've been really good at taking themselves into the coop at night as well, which was something I wasn't expecting. I thought I would need to pick them up and put them in the coop as it got dark, so they got used to it. But apart from the first night when I had to put 2 of them into the coop, they have all been in there by sundown, which is amazing. You, my friend, are a feathery little troublemaker. Come back. You're just going in the coop. I mean, you can go in of your own accord. Go in of your own choosing.
There we go.
As far as I can tell, no one's been on the swing yet, and I don't know if Sven knows whether or not they exist, because I haven't seen him down here, and he seems to have spent most of the week sleeping in the house. Nice work if you can get it. They don't seem to be eating out of the hanging feeder very much. They've been pecking at it, but the food level wasn't really going down, and I wanted a secondary food source to stop the most important hen guarding it from the others. And I put down a little dish of feed and they were all over it. But in the long term, I wanted something a little bit more pest proof. So I've got one of those fancy treadle feeders, which is very posh, and they don't really know what to make of it so far, but apparently it's quite easy to train them to get used to it. So I will report back on that. The chickens aren't going to be kept in the run long term. Eventually they'll have this whole space to peck around in, but I'm worried about them being close to the road, so I'm going to fence off an area around the coop in a week or two to give them more space in the short term. My ready supply of eggs is definitely inspiring me to bake more, which is good because I need to bake something for a party I'm going to this weekend. Do I want chilled dough or cold milk? Because apparently my fridge is too small to have both. Chilled dough it is. At some point in the very distant future, I'm going to be able to buy a fridge that's big enough to put actual food in, and that might be the thing I'm most excited about when it comes to the renovation. I've had some excellent suggestions for hen names, with loads of people coming out in support of Golden Girls names. And I haven't actually seen the Golden Girls, which I feel like I'd need to admit far too often if I name my hens after the characters. I'm gonna hold off on naming them until I can actually tell them apart, because apart from the bossy one with the most feathers, they all kind of look the same at the moment. I'm hoping that will change when they all get their feathers back. But otherwise, they're just going to be collectively the girls, and they'll have to deal with it. See you next weekend.